Hey guys, and welcome back to Mad About Skin. In today's video, we are talking this brand, Beauty of Joseon. Once the undisputed king of Korean skincare, in 2025, Beauty of Joseon has found itself in a little bit of hot water over a number of issues. The shine seems to have come off their brand, sales are reportedly falling, and you don't see them mentioned as frequently as maybe we did 1 or 2 years ago. So in today's video, I thought we'd do a little bit of a deep dive into Beauty of Joseon. This is a brand that I know a lot of people almost discovered Korean skincare through. That was certainly my experience, and their products have gone viral time and time again. But have the wheels started to fall off the brand in 2025? And what does the future hold? Sit back, relax, let's talk all things Beauty of Joseon. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my hot take on Beauty of Joseon. Just know that, as always, this isn't sponsored and it isn't in paid partnership. I don't do sponsorships here on the channel because I pride myself on my independence. Because brands don't pay my bills and I don't owe them anything, I can speak freely, which I think allows me to do a bit of a deep dive in the way that this video is doing that maybe other content creators can't. If you appreciate this sort of video, then let me know by reaching down and giving the video a big thumbs up and a like. The more likes the video gets, the more widely YouTube will distribute it on its platform. So it does really support me as an independent content creator. And from the bottom of my heart, love to each and every one of you. Now, without further ado, I think it's time we just cut that waffle and delve straight on in. So Beauty of Joseon, they are a huge global player when it comes to Korean skincare. As I said earlier, I think a lot of us discovered K skincare through Beauty of Joseon. Usually one of their viral sunscreens, and then we fell in love with that product and we expanded outwards. Other Beauty of Joseon products, then moved on to other brands too. I would say that Korean skincare forms about 50% of my entire skincare collection and routine, and that's all thanks to Beauty of Joseon. But things definitely seem to be changing in 2025. I've seen content creators increasingly call out the brand for some of the things that they're doing, some of the new product launches. Reportedly, sales have started to stagnate and in some territories fall, and the gloss definitely seems to be coming off what at one point looked like an untouchable brand. Where did things start to change? That's really what we're going to look at in today's video. Now, I'm going to put it out there front and center that these, as I said, are just my thoughts, feelings, and opinions, and I want to hear yours. What's your take on Beauty of Joseon? What are your favorite products? Did you have any fails? Is this a brand that you just never used and has never interested you? Sound off in the comments section below, because here on Mad About Skin, we are part of a huge community, and I love to hear from you guys each and every single day. So let's start with issue number 1, which I think is the one that hit hardest in 2025. And that's the launch, or the failed launch, of their tinted sunscreens. Now, Beauty of Joseon became famous because of this product. This is their Relief Sun Rice and Prebiotic Sunscreen. This went viral because it had the best finish of any sunscreen you will ever use. It was elegant, it was lightweight, it was everything we wanted a sunscreen to be. And this was the first truly viral Korean sunscreen. Of course, many have followed since then, but where they followed, Beauty of Joseon really led the way. And so when they announced they were launching a tinted sunscreen in a range of different shades, everybody got super excited. That's until they tried the product. Oh, this was a disaster. There wasn't a single shade in that entire collection that didn't leave people looking ashy or an unusual skin tone. It just didn't sit well on anyone's skin tone. They tried to be inclusive by having a range of different tones, which I definitely applaud, and I think that's something brands should be doing. But unfortunately, any one of the shades, they just didn't work for anyone. It didn't matter what your skin tone was. You put this on and you look in the mirror and think, yeah, it was giving distortion, white cast. It was giving like almost a blotchy appearance to the skin too. Absolute fail. People hated how thick the formula was, and you couldn't reapply it on top of itself. So when it came to a reapplication, people just said, well, it wasn't possible. Everything that could go wrong with the sunscreen launch went wrong with this product, and it honestly baffles me that this passed testing, that people signed off on this formula having used it. It was garbage, and they've gone back to the drawing board and said, yeah, we messed up, this isn't great, and they've gone back to the drawing board. Now, props to Beauty of Joseon for owning up to this and saying, yeah, this isn't it. But I did notice that they did a lot of sponsorship around the launch, and content creators who took the sponsorship were desperately trying to find some positives, putting it on the skin, saying, yeah, if you work it in, for a good 2 minutes, it'll start to reach synergy with the skin. No, dear, no. Sometimes you just have to admit you're onto a loser. And I think this is one of the great things about not doing sponsored content. I don't owe brands anything. I tried it. I said, this is garbage. Moved on. That was the end of it because there was nothing good or salvageable from that launch. Now, I am excited that they've decided to go back to the drawing board and they're going to be looking at some reformulations. But I think this definitely took an instant shine off the Beauty of Joseon sunscreens, which at one point were almost untouchable. I was said everything that Beauty of Joseon did in terms of SPFs were amazing. I just trust them implicitly. And then this product came out and everyone's like, maybe not. Maybe we need to reevaluate. And I think that's the biggest issue that Beauty of Joseon have had. And that kind of all kicked off in 2025. Now, the second issue really comes down to reformulations for specific markets. So again, this kind of links to sunscreens, which the brand are most known for. So different territories have different regulations when it comes to sunscreens. One of the biggest markets, the US, has very outdated restrictions when it comes to sunscreens and what filters can be used. Which means if you want to create an elegant, a modern, and a sunscreen that people actually want to buy, probably it's not going to be available for sale in the US. And that's because the FDA, who regulates sunscreens, haven't updated any of their legislation in like 22, 23 years. So Beauty of Joseon and their viral sunscreen wasn't available for sale in physical stores in the US. You could have it shipped to the US, imported, but it couldn't be sold. Now, the regulators over there started to tighten things up further and said, honestly, we're not happy with these big brands just importing products that we don't want for sale, so we're going to tighten that down. And really that loophole really closed in. So Beauty of Joseon said, okay, we need to create a US-specific formula that we can actually sell to that territory. We're going to have to use old-style filters to match legislation, and it's not going to feel great on the skin, but we need to do it because obviously we don't want to lose customers in that country. They did that, and the product wasn't good. People didn't like it. People were really confused. They've been used to buying this gorgeous formulation, put the new one on that was in exact same packaging, and we're like, but this is awful. This is a different product. Well, it is. It's a completely different product. And to kind of compound that problem, they got their batches mixed up. And so a lot of the time that US consumers were receiving the modern version, which wasn't really supposed to be sold there, that European customers were getting the US version, which they definitely didn't want. And it just became very messy. Now, this wasn't all down to Beauty of Joseon. A lot of this was online Korean skincare retailers that were mixing things up. So it wasn't all down to them, but it definitely was confusing. And I think a lot of trust was lost with people saying, I'm placing my order and I don't know whether I'm going to get the new garbage formula for the US market or I'm going to get the one that I know and love. So I best just not buying. I'm just going to look elsewhere. And I think that's one of the reasons why Beauty of Joseon sunscreen sales really have taken a hit, because customers couldn't guarantee what they were going to be getting. I think this is a lesson to any brand that want to create a US specific formula. If you want to do that, put it in different packaging. Don't just create the same packaging with an entirely different formula. Create a different product, create a different packaging, create something that is visibly different to the original. That way you're just going to avoid confusion. Now, issue number 3 definitely isn't the fault of Beauty of Joseon, but that is the multitude of fakes which were available online. We all know this is an industry-wide issue, but because Beauty of Joseon was so viral and so popular, it hit them harder than other brands, and fakes just popped up everywhere. They didn't have the same results, they didn't have the same finish, feel of the product, so people thought they were getting genuine Beauty of Joseon products, didn't like them because they weren't actually Beauty of Joseon products. This isn't the fault of the brand, it's an industry-wide issue. But again, people started to either didn't realise they got a fake, so were just unimpressed with the brand, or didn't know whether they were buying a fake or a real one, and that just put people off. Now, Beauty of Joseon have addressed this. They started putting QR codes on their products, which you can scan to get a legitimacy certificate. That's great, and honestly, I hope more brands do that in the future. But again, it did just leave people feeling a bit towards the brand. Now, last but by no means least, we haven't had many new product launches. Now, I actually don't mind this. I would rather brands focus down on creating a core group of amazing products rather than having a new launch every 2 minutes like the Inculist or other brands do. But we haven't really had a new launch from them other than the disastrous mineral tinted sunscreen for about 2 years. And this has really got people losing interest. Yeah, People are fickle. I know we shouldn't be. We should be in here for things for the long haul, but people are fickle. They like newness. They like trying new things. And when a brand doesn't launch a new product for quite some time, people start to lose interest. I don't think this should be the case, but it's kind of a fact of reality working in a fast-paced industry. And because Beauty of Joseon, other than that sunscreen, haven't launched a new product in some time, I think it's just slipped off people's radar. This is the easy one to correct because they can launch an amazing new product next year and everyone will be back on that fangirl train saying how amazing it is. This one's a quick win, whereas I think the other ones are a little bit difficult to kind of win that trust back. And that, in a nutshell, is the story of Beauty of Joseon in 2025. Lots of people have been asking why Beauty of Joseon aren't seen as regularly online anymore, why there's reports in media of the sales falling, of these counterfeits, these fake products hitting the market, and hopefully this has just kind of summarised everything. I genuinely believe Beauty of Joseon has a bright future. It's particularly good to know that they're growing in terms of popularity in Korea. Beauty of Joseon was always a Korean skincare brand that predominantly appealed to the Western consumer. It didn't do as well in its native market, and that's kind of changed. Beauty of Joseon are growing in South Korea, and that really is sustaining them as a brand. And I think they're going to come back in 2026 with some new product launches stronger than ever. They're doing the right things. They're owning up to their failures in terms of that sunscreen. They're trying to protect their product by putting those QR codes on to authenticate them. And they are being transparent and saying, you know what, we messed up, but we're going to put it right. And I don't think we can ask for more from brands. I'll certainly continue to shop with them, but I wanted to add some context as to why maybe some of the shine has come off them as a brand, and you might be hearing some of this negativity surrounding them. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments section below, wherever you are in the world, guys. Stay safe, stay well, and love your skin. Take care. Bye.